Hi, my name is Lara Kudaisi. I help people heal from emotional pain, trauma, childhood dysfunctions for a happily ever after. My story in a nutshell is that I healed from having a child at 19, 14 heartbreaks, 15 abortions, and a divorce. I have created a program titled How They Heal. Welcome to another exciting episode on How They Healed. And you know how we do here. We bring people who are living through trauma, who have lived through trauma, pain, difficulties, dysfunction, come and share their journey with people, everybody here, and you at home, so that they can encourage you on how to heal and how you're, to heal. As you know, as usual, my name is Lara Kudaisi, your host. Today, we're going to be talking about so many things. We're going to be talking about kids, special needs children. We're going to be talking about marriage. We're going to be talking about brokenness. We're going to be talking about trauma and everything that surrounds it. And I have a guest with me in the house today. See, when I tell you that this is one of the bravest women I know, I kid you not. I do not joke. I do not even take that lightly. But guys, let me not divulge the information to you. So please welcome with me somebody that I hold so dear, Mojisola Ogunsanwo.
Hello, happy to be here.
Thank you so much for agreeing to be here. I'm so excited that you're here. You have no idea. And like I said earlier, I used to say, that you're one of the bravest women that I know because of your story. But I want you to start from, your marriage, how you met your husband, your kids, and all of that. So, over to you.
Okay, I met my husband. I'm very terrible with dates, so I will spare you all of that. Okay. So it was a very wonderful relationship, It was all lovey-dovey, and all of that. He introduced me to flowers. I'm a sucker for fresh flowers now. Oh. Like, don't give me cake, don't give me chocolate. If you give me flowers, I'm good.
You just melt.
That's the password.
You're not a Nigerian somebody.
I'm telling you. So it was fun. It was very wonderful. It was a wonderful relationship, yes, it was. And then we got married, and then we started having kids, and I had my first son. And then that's when our journey began. So I had a very traumatizing normal delivery that has carried me till date, and I don't do normal delivery again because it triggers the memories of the first one. So I had my first child, and then I didn't even get a proper diagnosis until he was 1 year old. And at that time, I just realized that because by 3 months, a child should be able to do some certain milestones, and he couldn't. So I wasn't even, I had this demanding 9-to-5 job. So even for normal antenatal and all of that, I couldn't even take him. My mom would go with the nanny and all. I got my diagnosis on the phone. Your son has cerebral palsy, and I was in the office.
Cerebral palsy?
Cerebral palsy.
What is cerebral palsy?
Let me just put it in a layman's words. A baby that has stroke. It's a brain damage, but the reason why an adult who has stroke overcomes it is because the person has learned to walk, talk, and do every other thing. But a child who has a brain damage or who has stroke has not learned anything. He has not learned to talk, he has not learned to walk, so now you have to start teaching the child. But now you have to teach the child via physiotherapy. And it's like the brain is working against the body. Because the brain now, that side of the brain is damaged. And God has not given humans the technology on how to fix the human brain. But until that, you are working against a certain side of the brain responsible for being able to be independent, basically, that is damaged. Some people are lucky to have some level of recovery. That is, some can talk, some can walk, some cannot walk properly, some get over it, some never get over it, but it can get worse. Once it's bad, it's bad. It just can't get worse. But you can only make the child live an independent life as much as the ability of the child.
So what was the level of the cerebral palsy of your child?
He couldn't, the only thing he did was at 3 months he could lift his neck, which was a good sign. But some people are not that lucky. They have sloppiness and all of that. So it's a roller coaster of different things.
So the physical thing is that maybe he can't walk.
He can't walk and
he
he can't talk properly.
Okay.
You talk to him, he responds. He's very friendly. So sometimes if he likes you, he'll stretch his hands for a handshake. So, you know, little things. If being the caregiver, you will be able to know what the child wants. But that doesn't also come easy.
Yeah.
That is a lot of love and love. I don't want to use another word, but it comes from a deep-seated place of love for you to understand that, okay, he wants water. Or he's hungry.
Because he can't even express
Because he can't express himself in the normal way a normal child would.
So you have to keep
So
guessing.
you have to know. We haven't spent a lot of time. You'll be able to tell, okay, this is what is going on, this is what he wants, and all of that. And then with cerebral palsy comes a lot of things, physiotherapy, getting equipment, and all of that.
So it's firstly, it's very expensive.
Yes, it
is.
is.
Then it comes to the level of psychological,
yes.
Drainage, trauma and all of that.
Oh, yes.
So when you found out that you had
I didn't even get my proper diagnosis here. I traveled. I was like, Nigerian doctors are useless. I carried my baby, resigned my job, went abroad. And when we got there, the guy asked for the story. I can't remember all of the story anymore because it's been a long time.
Like how long ago?
It's 10 now.
Okay, 10 years.
So I can't remember a lot of things, but I do remember that we got to the man's office and I told him the story and he said, your story sounds like a hospital in Somalia. That I don't believe that this is a hospital in Nigeria. I said, excuse me, sir? It is from Nigeria. It's our hospital. And the guy was like, well, he's going to recommend physiotherapy. And then he had a crossed eye. And then he said he will need to do a surgery to pull out the pupil and all of that. But that we need to be doing physiotherapy. That's what... in Nigeria, a renowned pediatrician called my son a vegetable. I guess that was what triggered that. Like, no, my son is not a vegetable. Yes, this is what I'm seeing. A Nigerian pediatrician, a renowned Nigerian pediatrician told me that your son is a vegetable. He will never amount to anything. Go and have another child.
Wow!
And I said, thank you, sir. I cried out of the office. I called my cousin, who is a pharmacist. She works with all these general hospitals and all. So she knew a pediatric surgeon. She gave me his number. I called the person. I went. And the guy, I explained the whole thing to the guy, boiling and crying. And the guy was like, madam, calm down. And then the guy was like, it's not a completely hopeless situation where you can get help, where help is available. And that was when I now told him of my intentions to take him abroad and all. And he encouraged me. He even wrote a letter for me to go and see a certain pediatrician abroad and all of that and all. So, because he has affiliations with them and all. So I didn't need to, because my cousin I was staying with is also a medical doctor. So he also had his links. So
medical support
exactly.
And,
so
people around
within a space of 3 months, I'd gone. I designed my job. I didn't even look back. I'd gone. And
got the diagnosis.
Got the diagnosis. And Dr. Lippert said to me, he said, you sound like your hospital is from Somalia. You don't sound Nigerian. He is even Armenian. And I said, this is Nigeria. He gave us diagnosis, told us to do MRI, blah, blah, blah. We got to the car park, me and my auntie. We just started crying.
Because you started crying because you actually now got a name.
Because I now got a name. I now understood. I didn't understand. I now like, oh, this is what I'm up against. This one is more than me. And we just started crying in the car. After we finished crying, she said, Moji, don't worry. We'll pull through this together. We gathered ourselves together, went for the MRI, started physiotherapy there and all. And it was very encouraging, because they had a center, had seen a boy who was 3 and could walk, but with braces, but could walk. But all that could work because all the equipment were readily available. So everything for Connor, I was very happy. For me, it was an encouragement that Connor can talk. His case was even worse than my own son's case. So I was really very happy and hopeful and optimistic and all. But we had to come back home. And then we came back, and then we had to start looking for physiotherapists. You know, there are lots of, I'm very sorry to say this, but there are lots of quacks around. There are not many good ones around. There was the time they told me to make chair. I paid a certain amount of money. By the following week, termites had eaten the chair, and the question
chair
was
for him to
sit
on.
to help with his posture. Because you have to be careful so that he doesn't have multiple scoliosis. Please permit I did not study medicine. Please, just permit me. So, you know, you need all those things to keep the posture in place. Even if he cannot do some certain things on his own, at least he'll be able to sit properly. Even if he sits down properly now, you won't necessarily know that there's a problem, you know, because all that had been corrected and all of that. It's a very cumbersome, long journey.
And then you came back home living this life.
Yeah. And then I got pregnant.
With
my second son, and he's a boy, happy, fantastic. I had a CS this time around, an elective CS. I said I wasn't ready to do push. So, and my doctors agreed. I went to another hospital, I got a better hospital, and all of that. And by the time he was 1, we started noticing that he doesn't like to interact with other people. He likes to stay by himself. I didn't even say anything wrong with it. Because I like the boy is fine. There's nothing wrong. Maybe I was living in denial because I didn't want to accept that I can't go through this a second time, you know. So, and I forgot to mention, while I was away, I prayed. I prayed. I prayed and fasted. I became a size 8. On top prayer and fasting. But nothing happened. But God didn't stop being God. Yeah. So, but I was still living in denial for my second child.
But he could walk.
He could walk, but he wasn't speaking. Then we now had to start looking for how to get diagnosed. Everybody told me he was autistic. I said, no, my son is not autistic. At least I know autism. Even though I don't know everything, but at least I know some things. And I would read through the symptoms of autism, but it's not the classic autism. So he went to a school that they do what they call school health, whereby psychologists come, they check the children from playgroup, their abilities and all milestones and everything. Based on that is how they'll be able to go to the next class. I'm so grateful for that school and that particular program. Not many schools do it. In fact, there are very few schools that do it in this country. And it's not cheap. But you know, I guess the proprietress then was, maybe she was exposed and she understood that with education comes different things. So they invited these people, they came, they did it, they did the test, and they noticed that some things were not right. So they said I should go to Luth and see a child psychologist. It was a child psychologist that now gave me my diagnosis, that he has a language disorder. It's on the autism spectrum, but it is not autism. We have different stages. Autism is measured in different stages. We have 0, 0 point, up to 5, just like cerebral palsy. You know, 5 is the highest. So he's on the spectrum. So if he doesn't get the right help, he would easily fall to become autism. Now, there is language disorder where you cannot understand instruction. Not that you are deaf, but you just cannot process information. Some can speak, but they don't understand. Some understand, but they cannot speak. It's the same thing with asphyxia. They are all on that spectrum. But if the right approach is not applied, the child will become autistic. Does not take away the fact that there are people who are autistic, but it's just like you have a case of untreated malaria. You know, these days we treat malaria and typhoid together. So if you have malaria, if care is not taken, it could become typhoid, and then you now start treating typhoid and malaria. So that was what it was, and all of that. So
at what point did you get that diagnosis?
When I went to Luth, he was 2 going on 3, yeah, thereabout. You know.
So he wasn't speaking at this time?
He wasn't speaking. But the teacher he had then, very wonderful woman, she was within the couple, because they now trained, at that time they trained them how to handle children who had such issues. So based on the training she got from school, she was able to help my second, and it got better. You know, we're now trying to potty train him, get him off the potty, get him off the Pampers pants, and all of that. And he could communicate if he wanted to use the toilet and all of that. So gradually, and then we now started, I had to take him away from the school he was to another school because the cost of the ABA in the main school was higher than the other school. So I had to, and their school fees is higher. So I had to take him to a school that...
Schools with special needs, is that what they call it?
No, it's a mainstream school.
Okay, just mainstream.
Mainstream school. But they have like a chaperone in class that stays with them, that guides them, sits beside them, and then all of that. So the lady advised and said that I should bring him to another school. In that other school, they have like a center there. So he can always be in the center where there are other ABA teachers, and then they can always find a class to integrate him in, and gradually they'll be integrating him into the normal class, but he will still be having his ABA, and it was fantastic because there were more people there. So that was when I now moved him to the other school. And then along the way, separation happened, divorce happened, divorce is happening.
Okay, so don't, you know, let's backtrack. Like, I'm really, you know, oh my God, I'm still in shock. So we have to go back there, but we need to take a break so that when we come back, we'll pick up from where we left off. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Before we went on break, we're talking to Moji. She was talking about her 2 kids, a marriage, you know, special needs kids, you know, beautiful children. And then she shocked me with something. She talked about separation, divorce. And so the conversation continues. So Moji, what did you say happened?
Well, of course, along the way, normal couples issues. So we're having issues, and it so happened that it wasn't working anymore. So he asked for a divorce, and we're in court.
So this was after your second child?
After my second child. I already had the third, actually.
Oh, you had the third child?
I had the third
whilst
child.
All of this was going on?
Yes, I was even pregnant when all of the issues started.
The issues. Okay, so the issues started, you know, when you were pregnant.
Well, you know how these things are now.
Well, there had been issues all along. You just roll with the tide.
Just roll with the tide, like, oh, it's going to get better. We're going to make it work, you know. I'm in for the long run and all of that.
But do you think that, could it be because of having 2 kids, especially? So your third child, you were pregnant when you separated, or you had had your...
No, I'd had my third child when we finally separated. My third pregnancy was also very challenging because I had a Down syndrome scare. So, and I had to do amniocentesis. And if you know what amniocentesis is, a very painful and expensive test.
Moji, before you keep going, I'm sorry that I'm cutting you. I need to ask you first, what gave you the courage to keep having more kids? Because for some of us who are probably not that brave, you might just say, this is an end to childbearing. Let us, you know, take on the ones we have already. So what?
I really can't say this is what made me want to go on to have more kids. I can't pinpoint it. I like being pregnant.
Are you?
I like being pregnant. I enjoy pregnancy, but after pregnancy, I don't want to be I don't like breastfeeding.
Okay.
So maybe the fact that I like being pregnant, maybe.
Okay.
I don't like to breastfeed. I breastfeed though.
Did you stop at 3 since you like being pregnant?
No, I'm done.
Oh,
No more kids for me. So, and I had the third, no challenge, nothing, fantastic. You know, so for me, that was my validation that I don't produce bad children.
So that was why I asked earlier, that could that be the reason why you wanted to keep trying that I need to have one normal child or one, I don't want to say abnormal, I want healthy. I want
a healthy baby without issues. You know, so yes, that was one of the things I like, no, I have to try one more time. You know that, no. And then
he came.
He's
a he, right?
He's a he.
So you're all boys. Oh my God, mommy of boys. So he came and...
He came fantastic, no issues, fine, fantastic. But you know, it is what it is. The marriage was already over. So
he asked for
Yeah, he did.
a separation.
Yeah, and then filed last year.
So how did you take that? How did that make you feel? You know, knowing that you're going to separate, you have kids, 2 kids with special needs, you have a third
Of course,
son.
it's a lot of work.
Okay, so
It's a lot of
how
work.
did you feel when he
But-
said it and asked for it?
I believe that you have to raise children in an environment where there is love, where there is a lot of love. And if you have to love these children right, if staying apart is going to let you love the children right, then so be it. I'm the kind of mom that I always say something to mothers, and they always tell me that they can't. You must see your children, whether you like it or not.
This is like the dad.
Yes.
Okay, so even though you guys are not together, you allow
I will
him
send
to-
him a message, please come and pick the children this weekend. Sometimes he says he wants to see the children. I go like, oh, they are doing lesson, they are going for swimming or something. Let's make it next weekend. Because for me, I only know a mother's love. I will never be able to give a father's love. And those children need to be grounded. Most especially because of their situation. So that they don't end up looking for love in the wrong places. Because they are more susceptible to doing that. Because of their situation. So I want them to have a balanced life. And so the dad too wants them to have a balanced life. So both of us, we make it try see the children and all of that.
So, but I want to like specifically talk about you, because we've been talking about the kids, we're talking about their dad. Like Moji, where does Moji get this strength from? 1. And then 2, when Moji's, husband came and said, I'm no longer interested, everybody go their separate ways. How did Moji feel? What was going through Moji's mind?
First of all, I was broken. I was a mess. I was a complete mess. Oh, I was a mess. I was an emotional wreck. Everybody thought I was mad. And my mother told me recently, she was like, she used to think I was crazy. Because I would just flare up for no reason. And I've called you a few times during those flare up now. But I don't know how I was able to. Then I sought God. Because at some point, I let God out of my life. Because I'm like, why me? What did I do? What's that big sin that I did? First of all, you give me children and then the man leaves. What's my offense? But thank God for therapy. Therapy was the stepping stone. I went back to church. And I only had one prayer point. Whenever I went to church, after church, I'll go and kneel down on the altar. Lord, give me peace. Because you see, if there's no peace, I can't see. So that was all I always asked for. Lord, give me peace. Because even if I was getting every other thing or supposedly getting every other thing right, if I didn't have peace, I'm in chaos.
So what was robbing you of your peace at the time?
That he left me. That he left. He just left. So it was hard coming to terms with it, but I also had to tell myself that it is what it is. And
which is, sorry that I cut in you, I just wanted us to put the right...
Yeah, it is what it is. That
which is acceptance.
Accepting my children as they are. That's the first step. Accepting them. And for me, sorry to go spiritual, but I always have this conviction that this is something I'm meant to do. Maybe if I did not even yield to God safe, maybe God will look for another way to disband my life. I don't know. But for me, it felt like I didn't have anybody to talk to. I didn't have anybody to lean on. Yes, I have a fantastic family support. My family is wonderful.
She's beautiful. I'm
very
so
wonderful.
Excited to hear that.
I live with my parents now, and it's fantastic. Especially with my kids, I can go out. I have a fantastic nanny to go out. Know that my mom, my nanny, they are good, But for me, it was I can't even remember a lot of things anymore because I have grown past it. I'm in a better place. Like, I'm in a much more better place mentally, that I'm grateful for those experiences, because now I can relate with people and tell them that, look, let's walk this journey together. I may not have money to give you, but I do know that you can come through if you want to. So I just had to just accept my children, and I came to a conclusion in my life. I said, God will be God. I can pray from now till tomorrow. If God says, my son, it is not yet time for my son to walk and talk, doesn't take away the supremacy of God. So I had to come to that realization that God remains God, but he should give me the grace to live it through, whereby I can give my kids a life whereby they will be independent on their own, such that when I'm old and grey and gone, they will be thankful that they had a mother like me. Because really, that's all that matters. That it didn't work between me and their dad, it's okay. But really, at the end of the day, they are the ones that really matter. And that's where, people will tell me, oh, say negative things about him. As I say, the internet is very unforgiving. I can't. They will grow up, they will Google, and it will come up, and what kind of mother does that make me? So for me, it's important that they have a balanced life. And in finding a balanced life for them, I'm also finding balance for myself. And then I can then do the things which I have been created to do, what I have been called on earth to do. So at the end of the day, everybody is happy.
When I see you're one of the most bravest women I know, I'm not joking when I say that. As in, I'm so glad that you have gotten here, because from what you have described to us, it was a journey, and the journey that went or had spirituality in it, the journey that had therapy in it, the journey that had parental support in it. And you have gotten to a place now that you have accepted, embraced it, and now you're helping other people walk this journey. Moji, I know you will end well. I am so excited for how far you have come. Thank you so much for sharing your story. Thank you for coming here today.
Thank you so much for having me.
And I will keep calling you over and over and over and over and over. Thank you, darling. So guys, you've heard Moji's story. It's one of the most touching stories ever. But she can still sit here with a smile on her face, with those beautiful and encouraging words, because she has accepted herself, and decided to keep fighting and forging ahead with life. That is what you can also do, irrespective of whatever you must have gone through. And till I come your way next time again, I would like to tell you that it is never too late to live happily ever after. Bye for now.